Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. I am Rob, and today I am joined by Carter and Dave Scott. How you guys doing?
Doing well. How about y'all?
Yeah.
Well, we have bourbon in front of us, so
Indeed.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we talked about bourbon.
It's been a few weeks since we've done a bourbon
least on the
episode,
show.
so-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at least on the show, yeah. So we're definitely due for a little bourbon talk. And,
Absolutely.
we don't just have a pour in front of us, to get the show started. We have a really good pour that Carter brought over and is sharing. So tell us what we got in the glass.
Yeah, so this is, I think this pick was done probably in 2019 would be my guess, but it's a Weller Foolproof pick. I think that's when Weller Foolproof came out, was in 2019.
Is that when it came out?
It's either 18 or 19,
Yeah, I
something
think you
like
might be
that.
right.
Because remember, Rob, we had the first ever Weller Foolproof that hit Texas over at Chris Shepard's place.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't remember when that it was, but anyway, this is one that a fantastic bar in the Houston area, Poison Girl, selected, and it's yeah. I mean, to me, this is one of the best Weller offerings. I mean, I just some people kind of like dogged on it because it was like, oh, it's only 7 proof points higher than 107. I think it makes a big difference.
Well, that was going to be my question to you. Is it way better than 107? Or is it just, it's like, I think it's way better than 107.
I do
even
too,
though it's
generally
7.
speaking.
I do too.
Now, I'm sure there's some outliers where like there's some picks of 107 or something like that are like
Different category.
oh my God,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think generally speaking, I like the product a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Now, quick question. I mean, this is going to be off topic, but the first year that the Weller Foolproofs came out, did they start at 114?
I think so.
Because I thought I remembered Dandy having 2 different picks, and one was like 121 and the other one was, but maybe that was when they did the pick, that's the proof that
Was in the barrel?
was in the barrel.
Yeah,
and
and
then
that
they
could
proof
be.
it down to 114. So,
Yeah, that might have been.
That could be because if you think about William LaRue Weller, they're generally in the 120 to 130 range.
Yep.
So I would think that Weller Foolproof is probably in that same range. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Dandy picked a bottle of this? A barrel?
I think so. Or because I remember talking to Jay at one time, and they had at least tried it. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I think I remember that, and I think he got somebody else picked it.
Okay.
And he was friends with the owner of that store and let him
Gotcha.
get some. I think I remember that because I know he hasn't picked one of these. Yeah.
Picked past Sazerac or Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace this year.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of it. This one I remember really, really liking. I think probably the best one that I ever had, I think, was, gosh, I think it was this one that I remember. I mean, but the Poison Girl one. But I remember the first Longhorn one was pretty good. I had a pick that I had gotten from the Reserve steakhouse bar that they picked. I got a bottle of that, and it was pretty good. Anyway, I think in general they're pretty good.
I would agree.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Weller Foolproof is not on your list of top 5 allocated bottles you want. He's going, I got a bottle from there, and I got a pick from that steakhouse.
Okay.
I got one from there.
We're drinking one right now.
People are listening going, what an ass.
And they're
man.
probably
I never-
listening to like, what are you guys actually talking about today?
Yeah.
So,
well, they saw by the title.
yeah.
And this absolutely falls into that category. This would be a limited allocated
Sure.
bottle that's put out. I think it falls into the allocated season, doesn't it? When we think allocated, going from sometime mid-September till Christmas, just before Christmas?
Man, I don't know. I think,
Or does it come out differently?
I think it's just random.
I do too.
Like, it's just one of those that,
Drops when it drops?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think so.
So I think about Weller 12, and it drops like twice a year.
Yeah.
But you kind of randomly see like antique popping up, like, or 107. They don't call it Weller Antique anymore. But
Really?
I don't think they have antique on the front of it. I think it just says like
Weller 107.
Weller 107, or it just says, I don't know what it says. What does it say on the front? I got to look this up, but I'm pretty sure they eliminated the antique part of it. But
I'd be curious. The most recent bottle I have is probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So if they've done it recently,
I've gotten one a little more recently than that, but I don't recall even looking at the label.
Yeah,
it's like
you just like put it in a bag.
I'll take it.
Go.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let me see.
It was red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that one, the screw top says Antique 107. I guess the gold one says, Antique 107 also. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyway, yeah, you just kind of see those, like, 107s kind of pop up randomly around here.
I think that, I think that one is released regularly. We just don't see it regularly.
Yeah, I think it gets released to bars and restaurants and friends,
exactly.
and then you don't see it on the shelf.
Yeah.
But
but I think you're right. The Weller 12 is a couple times a year. Same with the Stag Junior, or now just Stag.
Yeah.
And we're talking about for where we're at. I don't know, other parts of the country may see it a lot more, may never see it, but we get to see it a couple times a year for Weller 12.
Well, I think even with the BTAC, like I think other regions they'll get it way earlier than we do. Like they start getting it in like September, October or something.
Yeah. And that's the Texas market, because we're always late with the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
Yeah,
and with the Bookers, everything that we're about 2 or 3 months behind the Northeast, and they get their stuff sooner than we do.
Yeah. This is a cherry bomb.
Yeah, absolutely.
My goodness, this is a cherry bomb.
Absolutely. That is definitely cherry.
You know, one thing that I really like about it on the nose, it's got kind of that dusty, funky, older,
I would agree.
Like damp type of.
But this, I've never had this, so thanks for sharing it. It's my first time having it. I know, Dave, you had a bottle.
Yep.
This, to me, falls into that, category, that lane of almost a perfect pour. I mean, I love the nose. I love the characteristics of this whiskey.
Yes.
And then on the palate, it's just very pleasant. You got kind of that oily kind of.
Yeah.
And then the finish is just long and lingering. But, at 114, it's not kicking your ass. It doesn't, beat up your esophagus. And it's just very relaxing and pleasant.
Well, I don't know, one episode that we had, in the not so distant past, we revisited Weller 12. And I remember you kind of just put it in front of me and, asked me what it was or whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, if this was amped up just a little bit more, it would be so much more desirable. It would live up to the hype. I feel like this has that old taste like Weller 12 does, but it's got the proof that you want.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I would just say, darn it, this isn't drop as much as Weller 12 for our market.
I'll mention this. I think the blue label on there, super money. Like, that's just the coolest Weller.
I mean, I think they're all pretty cool. Even the CYPB with the white labels kind of.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
The orange isn't bad either for the single barrel.
For those who like burnt orange.
Yeah. I guess I fall into that category.
Today, actually, it's burnt orange.
That's right. Got to represent, at least until the season starts.
Give it a month.
Isn't Alabama on the schedule this year?
Yeah.
That's going to be... anyway.
Painful?
Yeah.
Not for me. Roll Tide. Anyway, but yeah, I think that this, obviously we can get to our list when we get to our list. I feel like this is one of those slightly underrated Wellers. And I know everything Weller is hyped and everything, but I see just as a comparison, like on a secondary market, this is probably like 250, 275.
Yeah, I was going to say, yep.
What does Weller 12 go for?
200.
No, it's up to like 235 or
240.
Yeah.
Can I give you the comparison I was going to give you for secondary? Obviously, it's not the weeded Weller line, but just for secondary purposes, I would buy this at 250, 275 all day over an Elmer T. Lee.
Oh God!
Okay, yeah, of course.
But you see Elmer T. Lee, it's going for $350.
Yeah.
And that's why I would give that. I mean, still from Buffalo Trace, it's a 90 proofer is Elmer T. Lee?
Yeah, 90 proof.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would take this all day long.
Cool looking bottle, though.
It is a cool little cool looking bottle.
Yeah. But I agree. I mean, like, to me, this is far superior.
Yeah. And I think for a short period of time when the Full Proof first came out, secondary was around $400.
Yeah, it was high.
Yeah.
Right?
But it has come back down into reality.
We may have to grab, I think I have one with a little bit left. And as we talk through this episode and pour that, because I'm wondering, is this, just heading, like you talked about, you get some bottles, Carter, that are just so good. And does this fall into that category? So are we giving Weller 14, a lot more hype than maybe it deserves because of this particular offering, this bottling?
Yeah.
Or is this kind of the bar that we see from them?
Well, I remember don't you have the Liquor Barn selection?
I have to see. I have a couple of them. Anyway, we'll see which one's open. We'll pour another one. We'll see what we think about that.
Okay. I really, really enjoyed that Liquor Barn one as well that came out.
I think it is. Is it Liquor Barn?
Or Liquor Hut or something
Liquor
like
Hut.
Liquor
That's-
Hut,
that's the
excuse
one.
me. Yeah.
And that's the one I have open, so we can try that.
Yeah,
one.
I remember liking that a lot too.
Yeah.
Didn't we, this was a while back, and this was probably just a party, but didn't we do some blind comparisons on Weller Full Proof? I think we did.
I don't remember that. Might have been late into the party.
I think, well, maybe so, but
I know more than probably 2 years ago we did a weeded cask strength blind
I do remember that.
with the Maker's cask strength, the Weller Full Proof,
yeah.
and a couple others. And
Cast strength from Makers showed pretty well.
it actually came out on top.
I think so.
Oh yeah. I
expected the Weller Full Proof to come out on top, and the Maker's cask strength was a unanimous. So,
and it might be pick dependent when it comes to
that-
full
that-
proof,
But that's what I'm saying. It's going to be different, somebody else's pick or the standard offering. And
It's a single barrel when they pick it,
Yeah.
yes.
but it's not when it's just a regular release.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a huge difference when
Right.
you get a single barrel.
And some have argued that the one that's the regular release is better than some of the picks.
I've seen that argument, which
yeah.
could be true too.
But I doubt it's better than this pick.
No,
this
I
is a
would
good
agree
one.
with that. Yeah.
So how do we begin?
Well, we're going to talk allocated. So let's talk a little bit about, let's explain what allocated means. I think people kind of have a general understanding, but those who are maybe not into whiskey like we are, bourbons like we are, maybe getting into it, these are the ones that are if you're into wine, think about it like a small release or a small making of that.
Of a single vineyard.
A single vineyard, yes. And this is kind of product that would fall into that type of category. They don't make a lot of it.
Yeah.
It gets distributed once or twice a year. And some markets get more than others. Some get none at all. And it's just kind of being lucky. And these bottles that we're going to talk about in this category, for the most part, you never see them on a shelf. You might get lucky somewhere where some store got it.
Somewhere in the United States, somebody will stumble across one.
It's the rarity.
Yes, 99.9% of the time.
You don't see these.
These never make it out of the back room.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, what we're drinking is allocated, but even to your point, like a wine, even like a champagne, like a vintage release of a champagne. That be
That's kind of what these are.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and we all have, us three, have allocated bottles. We have quite a few. So, getting the list narrowed down to what we might want might be tougher. And we might all have our own criteria for what is on my list versus what might be on Dave's list, what I've had, not had, what I just think I want to get because it's supposed to be really good. So there's no right or wrong answer, but these are kind of how we've graded the allocated bourbons in a list of 5 to 1. Mm-hmm. One being what we want the most, or in search of, again, if you've already had it. But it should be fun. I mean, I've got some of you guys, really? That's on your list? And then I have some that you might go, ooh, that's a good one. So
Yep.
But the criteria is that they are current,
Yeah, not
up
Dusty's.
to date current releases that come out once, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think allocated season, for the most part, the most of those bottles are released, you guys would agree with me, I think, September to just before Christmas.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what we call allocated seasons. A lot of those hitting bottles.
So we're about to get into it.
We're about to get
Yep.
into it. So we thought it might be fun. We did a show a couple weeks ago where we did a couple. We did where we are in our bourbon journey and kind of why we're not chasing. We did a show with Chris where we're not chasing the allocated bottles and what we might buy off the shelf in place of.
Right.
And so people might be listening to this show after hearing those going, well, why are you guys talking? I thought you said you don't need to. We're not chasing. We're not going to, go stand in line overnight to try to. I shouldn't say that. I might for something I'm guaranteed to get.
Yeah, I mean,
if I'm looking at my list, there's definitely stuff on there that I would
it
stand
might
in
do
line
that.
for.
Oh,
But
yeah.
for the
sure.
regular things like, if you hear there's a well of 12 drop or, 107 or something, I'm not going to wait in line all night just to get one of those. We've all been there, done that, and we've kind of passed that in our journey.
Yeah, I'm not waiting in line for Weller 107.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I on secondary I can buy that bottle for like $95 delivered to my house.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll gladly pay the extra $40 above retail to have it delivered straight
To
to my
sleep
house.
in your bed all night and be
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. to get in the line or
Yeah.
something like that.
To get one bottle.
Yeah, right.
So these are our list. Anybody want to lead off?
So are we?
5-1.
So we are ranking them right now.
Yeah, I've got mine.
Well,
I made a list, and then I
don't
went
even know if I could rank
5-1
mine.
to mine. So I've already put them in what I want. So I'll lead the way. Maybe
All right.
that'll give you guys some.
Yeah. I'm shooting from the hip here.
I mean,
'cause,
I know what my number one is for sure, but go right
I've got
ahead.
my number one, but you guys I think you're going to laugh at mine. I'm just I'm a simple guy,
Nah,
guys.
not gonna laugh.
I'm a simple guy. So for me, in the 5-hole, this is a bourbon I've never had. I'd love to have one. I've had a couple of pours of it at different places. Some have been great. Some were me. But I'd still love to have a bottle in my collection. Yep. And in the 5 spot, birthday bourbon from Old Forester.
Yeah. I mean, I can't.
I don't know how that's in the 5 spot. So.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
let's hear the rest of my list. And
All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of them are a little underwhelming, and I've had some that are just freaking amazing.
Yep.
But it's got, I mean,
it's a cool bottle.
definitely iconic looking bottle. I mean,
fits on a shelf.
It's really neat.
Yeah.
It's released once a year. It's it's
about to be released.
Yep.
Yeah, I think October.
October
is it?
1st. 2nd.
September 2nd's the birthday. They're
Okay,
doing all
September
the drawings.
2nd. Okay.
And
Okay.
this year they're doing it different, where it used to be you could line up at the distillery.
Yeah.
No more. Everything's online.
Yep.
And then if you win it, if
Lottery
you get picked,
pick.
you have until December 31st to pick it up in person.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and I'll be making a road trip if I get drawn.
Yeah, well, I'm making a little trip up to Kentucky soon, so if I get drawn, because I have definitely entered it,
Yep.
if I get drawn, I'll just go pick it up at the
There you
distillery.
go.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great one, right?
Yeah. It's one I've never had. And so
In possession.
never owned
Got
a
it.
bottle.
I have one.
Do you have one? Do you have one?
No, I do not.
Never had one. And my criteria for making my list is things that I would actually buy.
Yep.
I mean, there's some bourbons out there that I'm just not going to spend the money for. One, because it's a lot of freaking money. Two, I don't think I have a good enough palate to be able to say it's, when you talk about retail, $100 bottle versus or $100 to $200
Yeah.
bottle versus a $3,000 to $7,000 bottle. I don't know that my palate can say that's worth it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pay for it. I think I'd get some other stuff. So in the 4-hole, under that criteria,
Wait. We should go 5, 4, 3, 2. That kind.
You wanna do that?
I think so.
okay.
All right. So what's your 5-hole, Matt?
I've never owned this bottle, but every time I've tried it, I've really liked it. It's something that was recently released, and I just have always wanted a bottle of this, and it's Russell's Reserve 13.
Oh,
So
it's a solid one on the 5-hole.
That's in the 5-hole. I've tried it, at the distillery. I've tried it. Had some people gracious enough to pour me some. It's really fantastic. I would love to have a bottle of that. So that's my 5-hole one.
All right. I would have to agree with you there. Just recently came into possession of one.
Yeah. I saw some of you guys got some.
So not on my list.
So that one is
now.
not on my list,
Yeah.
but yes, I'm right there with you because it is fantastic.
This batch to me is way better than what we had at the distillery last year.
I would
I
agree.
haven't had this
100 times
I
better.
haven't had
would
this
agree.
year's batch.
You haven't?
Maybe
Maybe you will.
if I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
If you behave.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. For me, my number 5 hole, and maybe I should go ahead and just change my number 5 hole because I'm in possession of a few bottles of this, but I always
A few, and it's on your list?
and that's why I said maybe I should change it, but
Well, it's your list.
I'm going to stick with it.
Okay.
So because I want to get one every year.
It's clearly one you love.
I think that's valid.
The High West, a Midwinter Night's Dram.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I love that one.
That's a solid
But
one.
it changes every year.
Yep.
Too. So I mean, it's not like
Changes multiple times in a year.
And this is
depending on when they bottle.
well, they only bottle for 1 week. So it's released September 1st, so they are bottling right now.
Okay.
This year they are doing something a little different. So normally it's finished in port barrels.
Yeah. This year it's
So this year there's an
white sherry.
there's an encore bottle. So and it's got everybody freaking out that they're not going to do a Midwinter Night's Dram. Why change it? This is the 10-year anniversary, 10th release of a Midwinter Night's Dram. Mm-hmm. So they are doing the normal, finished
Release.
in port barrel. Mm-hmm. Then there's an encore release that's finished in French oak.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Getting both of those would be the key this year.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yes, and there's some confusion in the way they label. So it's Act 1, Scene 1 through 9, I think, or
Okay.
something like that. So Act 1 would be the first year that they released it, but they didn't name it Act 1 then. So,
okay.
but like last year's release was Act 9, and people was like, "What is Scene 1, 2, 3, 4?" And it's the day of bottling.
Yeah.
They don't. It's no different. It's not different barrels. It's just at the end of day 1 they stop. The next day is
Act
Act
2.
2.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
or
Yep.
Scene 2.
Yep. Makes sense. That's cool.
And-
So yeah, that's in my 5th. That's in my 5 hole.
And that gets released, like right around, in a couple of weeks,
Yep,
right?
September 1st.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, let's go the snake routine.
Going back,
Yeah,
so I get to go my number 4. All right, so my number 4 is let's see.
It sounds like you're changing your mind.
It's like, man, I really want that. No, I want that one. So I'm going to go with the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. So same.
Okay.
That's in my 4 hole. I thought it was going to be higher, but for several years I've been trying to get a bottle at retail.
And the guy said to me, "How in the world is that in your 5 hole?"
Yeah, I
And
didn't
then
want
he
to
puts
put
it in the 4.
Well, I didn't want. I didn't want
figure.
to. I didn't want to. So, but that's looking at the others on my list. That's where it
Kind
ends
of
up.
forced to do it.
Yeah. So
For me, it's a bottle that I do not have. I've never owned one of these bottles ever. I've tried them many, many times, but I've never owned it, and I think I would absolutely snag it at retail. I would never buy this bottle at secondary. This is one of the reasons I do not own this bottle, and it is E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof.
You never owned one of those?
Never had one ever.
wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That shocks me with you.
Yeah, I know. You'd think like that. I've got plenty of good connections. I've got all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've never owned an E.H. Taylor barrel proof, and I'd love to just at least have one barrel.
Yep.
I could screw the special releases every year and all that stuff. It's like we're talking about stuff that you would pop open and drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I got an E.H. Taylor barrel proof at retail, I would pop it open and drink it.
Absolutely.
So
And Dave's got like 13 of those.
No, I don't. I've got 2, but
two more than I got.
but it's. I mean, that's an excellent bottle. But like you said, I mean, It's crazy. Secondary, depending on which batch it is,
Yeah.
you're looking at $400 to $600.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on,
but if you bought one at retail at like whatever
$79.99.
$80,
I will
think
tell
it's
you,
fantastic.
Yep.
I've got most of mine were retail, but I do have 2 of them that I paid slightly over retail, but at $120 for each one.
I'd still do
I
it.
still do it.
All day long.
I didn't get them just for retail, but they were in a store.
Yep.
$119. I was like, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
So,
I feel like it's a good like. We've had this discussion before about Stag Junior versus E.H. Taylor. Barrel proof. Okay. Yep. Let's disregard that statement. I have a ton of Stag Juniors. I've been lucky, and I've gotten probably 90% of my Stag Juniors at retail.
I bet you could trade one for a.
Probably could, but I really like Stag Junior.
Yeah, I know. I do too.
I mean, like I feel like it's just a fantastic pour.
Yeah,
I would love to have an E.H. Taylor barrel proof. I mean, but only at retail.
Yeah,
only at retail.
Well, all of these for me are retail. I'm not going to pay secondary for any of them.
So,
there's only one at this table who would pay secondary for some bottles.
Well, this year yes, that is.
I guess he assumed it was him.
I guess so.
Yes, I assumed it was me. I bet Dave has bought a couple of secondary bottles before.
I have never bought a secondary bottle.
Traded.
I have traded.
Yeah.
I have traded Weller 12s for
different
secondary bottle.
Oh, I bought plenty on secondary.
That's why.
To be fair, most of your purchases on secondary are Dusties, which is a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, this year I will be, and I'll go ahead and say this. This year I'm a little bit even more biased because, my daughter was born in July, and I'm going to be...
Birthday bourbon.
Birthday bourbon will definitely be one of those significantly sought-after bottles for me.
We know you're looking for dump date Blantons. Come on.
He didn't say no.
I wouldn't mind having one of those.
Absolutely.
For
I
sure,
think that's a cool thing to have.
Well, I mean, even if I had a 2021 BTAC release of it, kind of like, well, hell yeah.
It's her birthday year.
That's a birthday year. But yeah, I'm definitely looking at this year as being a significant year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In my 4-hole is a bottle I did own, and I have probably 1 pour left of it. I do own. I shouldn't say did. But it's a bottle that you guys may laugh at. I don't care. But I absolutely love it. I've had other release pours of it, and I would just love to have another one, which is GTS, George T. Stagg. Actually, last year it didn't get released, so this year I don't know what's going to happen. I heard people say some speculation that it may be going away. Have you guys heard that?
What?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I heard some people, and this is just, conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
That, last year was just to get you kind of, we didn't make it this year, and this year it's kind of going to be. I don't believe that either. I think they're full of crap. I think I don't know what the real reason was why it didn't get released last year. I don't think you sit on something for 15 years and then all of a sudden go, it's no good,
Yeah.
But something was happening last year.
Yeah.
But if I could get another release of that, I had the 18 bottling. And
that's nice.
Never seen another one since. I would love to get another bottle of that to have in my collection.
I love GTS. It's one of my absolute favorites. I just really love it. Yes, I'm a tater. I don't give a crap. Yep. GTS is one of my favorites. And hey, Buffalo Trace, if you want to send us a press sample kit,
right.
I mean that's cool too. We can give our thoughts on it,
and we would.
But I agree with you completely. I think George T. Stagg is awesome.
So I'm coming back to my 3-hole, and that's going to be another one that I have very little left. I've only owned 1 bottle a couple years ago, William LaRue Weller. And I don't care. To your point, Carter, tater bottles, but they're that good. And when you can get them at retail, you're talking about it's retailed at $99, but if you can get it between $100 to $150, which is where I've gotten them. Oh no, I think William LaRue Weller is higher. I think it's about retail $149, $159.
I don't think it's that high. I think
don't
it's like
think so.
120 or something.
Okay,
like that.
120 somewhere around there. Under $200. I'm going to buy that all day long.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought the first one for that amount, less than 200. I think it was 169 I paid for it, which I didn't care. For that price, I'll buy it all day long. I would love to get another William LaRue Weller. After having that bottle and sharing those pours, it's one of the best bottles I've ever had.
Yep.
I'll just go out and say it. Well, that one is on my list.
Okay. I hope it's in the 3-hole, because if it's not, people are going to know now it's 2 or 1.
Well, what I'll say is that is one of those GTS bottles that I don't think it disappoint. Or I mean, not GTS. One of the BTAG bottles that just does not disappoint.
Yeah.
Like it's always good.
There's been a Stag that's been a little disappointing. There's been a TH, Thomas H. Handy that's kind of been a little.
Oh yeah, those are definitely hit or miss.
But
man, William LaRue Weller, they bring it every year, and to me, and I don't know, give me that over any of the Pappy Van Winkles.
Now my next two are I've never owned, so
okay,
we'll get to those.
Okay.
So you're coming back up with 3-hole, Carter. What do you got?
Okay, so for me, the 3-hole this time is birthday bourbon, and I've kind of mentioned why I really want one this year specifically, but I just think it's one of the coolest bottles out there.
Does that matter to you?
It looks if you've got like a really cool,
that's a cool bottle.
If you got a like a nice whiskey display or something like that, that bottle stands out.
Yeah.
I mean, but what's cool is it's a cool looking bottle, and generally speaking, the juice is like really damn good too. So
and that typically comes in right just barely over 100 to about what 110.
I think the highest one they had was like 112 or 114, something like that, which was 19.
Okay, I'd be surprised if it was that high because
I thought it was like 103, 102.
Until the last couple years, I don't think they had one over 100 because this year's release, if you read when you entered I think this year's release is like mid-90s, 94 to 96, something like that.
Okay.
Wow, that makes it less desirable for me, but I have to have one, so that's like
if this is the year I get one, I'll take it.
I'll take it too. And look, I'm not going to knock there. It could be, that doesn't scare me the proof that much. It could still be a fantastic bottle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I like around that 100. If they were 84 proof, I might have some concerns.
Right.
So 2019 was 105 proof.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And the year before that, I think it was 102 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it hovers around that 100 range.
Between 100 and 110. I don't think it I say 110 because I don't know if anything's reached that, but I don't think it has.
No, but
yeah.
But so that's for me this year is birthday bourbon number 3.
All right. So for me, in my 3-hole, I'm going to go with William Heaven Hill.
Okay.
Oh, so isn't that a distillery only release?
Yeah. So, and as I was saying that, I was like, okay. It's definitely allocated, but that is a distillery. But I
think that qualifies for this.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I mean, because you go over there, when people hear us say distillery only, doesn't mean just because you go to the distillery, it's there.
Right.
It's a still very limited times that they put it in the distillery. It's just not going to get distributed anywhere else.
Yeah.
If you want one, you have to get it there. If you're lucky enough to get one, you have to get it there.
And if that doesn't qualify for the allocated, I'll do a / 4 Roses limited edition.
Okay.
Great pick.
Yep.
In the 3-hole.
Yeah.
Have you never owned one of those?
Never have.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought you had.
Nope.
Okay.
But they're different every year.
They are different every year.
Drastically different every year,
Yes.
actually.
And again, some hitters and some not so much.
Some missing.
Yeah.
But what's cool is that they have that flexibility to make that blend. And I have you guys seen what this year's? Oh man, hang tight. Y'all keep talking, but I'll. Okay, I got it. This year's small batch limited edition is a combination of a 14-year-old OESF, a 14-year-old OESV, a 15-year-old OESK, and a 20-year-old OBSV.
Okay.
Wow.
So
could be good.
the lowest age in this whole mix is 14 years.
Wow.
I'm just wondering what the ratios are going to be.
I'm sure that'll come out at some point in time.
That'll be interesting.
But
Based on that information, it should be delicious, you would think. Because if you've had some of their older bottles, picks that were 14, 15 years old, or that 20-year-old
yeah,
that was released, that stuff was delicious. So, the expectation would be pretty high for me that that's going to be pretty good.
I think it's got potential. It's got potential to be a real badass pour.
Which could light up secondary.
Yeah. Well, to me, I think that this particular bottle, I'm just kind of, sorry, I know, Dave, this was your pick, but but like, to me, this particular secondary bottle is vastly undervalued.
I would agree with that.
The Four Roses small batch limited edition. Yeah.
Because, like, if you're getting, like, roughly speaking, you're looking at between, it used to be really under $400, which was pretty standard, but now it's like $400 to $500, right, on secondary. Like, you heard what I'm talking about here. 14-year-old, I mean, like, no knock on birthday bourbon, but it's usually between like 11 and 12 years old or something like that, or 10 years old, that kind of thing.
It's almost $1,000 on secondary.
And it's like $800 or $900 in secondary.
But even staying within Four Roses, to your point, you're talking about limited edition being that price point, $400 to $500, somewhere in there. You get some single barrel picks of OBSO or OESO or some other ones that are tier 6 that go for $600, $650 just on their own.
They can, yeah.
So, I mean, you're right. You would think that would – it almost seems like in the world of Four Roses, the picks are a little bit more well thought of, higher priced than just that distillery release of their limited edition.
Four Roses is a weird deal, like
kinda
just
is.
all in general, because there's a lot of hype that gets behind runs and things like that, and yeah, they may be worth the hype. Then the price will go nuts on it, or there may be some runs that are just pretty damn good, but don't get like that big notoriety to them that you can find value in. So I mean, I just feel like it's a weird way to evaluate that whole private select thing.
And just for instance, if any of us were going to be at the Four Roses distillery tomorrow, they are releasing a 16-year-old OESV for Kentucky flood relief charity.
Yeah.
$200 a bottle, and you can buy 2.
I'd buy 2.
So
no, I'd only buy one.
In Kentucky?
Yeah.
I know in Kentucky.
Yeah. So
all right, Dave, back to you.
All right, back to me. 2-hole. All right, my 2-hole is William LaRue Weller.
Okay.
So,
we've talked about how good that one is, and so, have you ever owned one?
Never.
Okay.
The only BTAC I've ever owned is the George T. Stagg.
Okay.
2020.
Which is a good one. William LaRue Weller, I just think, it's definitely one, when you think Tater kind of allocated, it definitely is, but it's...
Yeah, but every time I've had a pour at a bar, it
doesn't disappoint.
It does not disappoint.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm can't argue with that one.
What do you have in the 2-hole, Carter?
I'm Four Roses small batch limited edition.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's a bottle that's
You've had a few. You just want you like to get that one again.
I've got a few. Yeah. I've got I think I've got right now, I think I have 6 or 7 of them now. But they're different every year.
Yep.
And the like Four Roses, anybody who listens to this probably knows that I'm a big Four Roses fan.
What?
Yeah, big surprise. It's just one of those things that I just it's the nerd in me. I like to have the limited edition releases. I just think it's cool, and I don't know.
Yeah.
For the longest time I didn't even have one. And then it's kind of like just a flood of buying them. So,
He likes them.
yeah, I like them a lot. So
Like
anyway.
we said, one guy here buys off secondary.
That's right.
Yeah, that's me.
We're not going to name names. All right, so in my 2-hole,
That could come across
in my number 2 hole. I'm gonna plug that with
Lord.
A little Pappy Van Winkle 15-year.
Wow.
And here's why.
That's definitely taterish.
It is taterish. It is taterish. I've never had it, never tasted it, never anything. So this is completely blind for me.
Yeah.
But everybody that I know and somewhat respect that's had it, owns bottles, knows whiskey really well, has said of the offerings, the old Rip Van Winkle 10 and 12 year, the 15-year Pappy Van Winkle 20 and 23, that the 15-year is not even close. It's pretty much out on its own island as being the best offering. And I've had the 23-year, thank you, Randy Blank, which I thought was actually very delicious. So if the 15-year can actually be better than that, I want a bottle of that.
Yeah.
And I would say the other reason it's on my list is because it's something that I see dropped in our market pretty regularly every year when it is, dropped.
Yep.
At some liquor stores, but specifically one here in town, which is a brand, so they have multiple locations, and it just goes out. And if you're there at the right time, if you can kind of figure out when it's going to be, you have a decent shot of landing that bottle. And so because I think I have a chance to get it, it also cracked my list because I think it's one that's attainable.
Oh, man, I don't think it's attainable at all.
Me either. I don't think I'll ever see one in person.
I would love
I'll share a pour with you guys.
Okay.
Oh, I appreciate that. So this kind of, I'm going to tell you why that is not on my list, and I would love to have that bottle.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love. I have a Van Winkle Lot B. That's the only thing that I have that's Van Winkle. I don't even have the Wizard Pappy, though I'd love to have a bottle of that. But the problem I have with the Pappy 15, I don't know that I'd open it if I got one.
I would.
And I think that's the problem. That's the reason it didn't crack my list, because I look at that bottle and I go, that's $2,000 right there.
Right.
And
that's on the low end.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that I don't know how, like, my justification is I can go to a bar and I can pay $50 to $75 and get a pour of that, around when it gets released.
It's got to be more than $50 or $75.
I think, well, Backstreet does that whole thing like on New Year's Day or whatever, where they do the Pappy Flight, where they put...
That's in there?
Yeah, 15's in there.
I thought it was Buffalo Trace.
Well, they have a Buffalo Trace BTAC flight,
yeah.
And then they have the Pappy Flight.
Okay.
So they do the old Rip, they do the Lot B, and they do the 15-year.
Yeah, but I also think I would have that pour and be like, damn, I want a bottle of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying what you're... I'm not trying to disagree with you, but I'm just saying from me...
Sure sounds like it.
Personally speaking, it would be hard for me to justify opening that bottle.
Agreed.
Not me. I'm saying if I bought it at retail.
And I will...
I mean,
$150, $149.
If I'm going to have that mindset, I could go, I have plenty of bottles that I paid less than $100 for that I could sell for $500 or $600 each and still be, why am I opening them?
Yeah.
I mean, so
True.
If you're going to have, I never think about anything. It's like my whole reasoning is, will I pay for it?
Yeah.
And whatever I'm willing to pay for it is because I want to drink it. I'm not going to pay $600 for an E.H. Taylor barrel proof because I'm not going to pay $600 to drink that bottle.
No.
But I'll pay $100, $120 to drink that bottle.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I just, that's my feelings on it.
This guy is saying that when I mentioned before we started recording a bottle that could be retail, not secondary, of $5,000 to $7,000, he's like, I'd buy it.
Yeah,
because that one you could sell for $20,000.
Then I could pay like the rest of my car off. I mean,
so you wouldn't drink it?
Yeah, no, I would buy it. And I wouldn't drink it. But anyway,
okay, that's my 2-hole. So we go back to you and your 2-hole. Or is that I'm the last one? You already did yours.
Yeah, I did mine.
So we're coming up on number one.
Number one.
Oh, man. You
we're
guys
here.
might tear into me again. You ready?
Yeah.
Boy.
What you got?
Elmer T. Lee.
Yeah, I know that's a bunch of bullshit.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
You guys want to guess what I might have in that one slot?
Oh, that's a good. Okay.
Because I already have it typed in. There is no.
I'm not going to. Here's what I'm going to say. I think you went here, but I didn't go here for a specific reason.
Okay.
King of Kentucky.
What do you think?
I would agree with Matt because that was going to be on my list, but somehow I forgot to write that one down.
King of Kentucky.
Oh, I mean, dude, come on. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It was never on my radar until
yeah, we got those samples.
a gentleman sent us some, and we got to taste it in a blind and went, okay, this is the best pour I've ever had in my life. And so now that would be a bottle that I would pay retail for, not secondary.
Honestly, I think it has a great. It's expensive on secondary. Don't get me wrong, and I've never purchased one or anything like that on secondary. But I think they go for like $2,000 to $2,500.
Yep.
I mean,
what's retail like? $200?
No, four. I think the King of Kentucky is $450. I think.
Is it really?
We can do some research.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and talk, and I'll research.
So here's my thing on King of Kentucky. Like Pappy Van Winkle, any of the like 15, 20, or 23. By the way, 20 is the coolest looking bottle because it's red. But like any of those, they're not barrel strength. They're
$249.
$249. Okay.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So all the Pappies are like, are they 107? It's something like that, right?
What? Proof?
Yeah.
No. Because like the 12 years, 90 proof.
No, that one is. But I'm talking
No,
about
the
all
15
of the
years, 107.
all of the true Pappies. I
Oh,
think
okay.
are
The 15, 20, 23, 107.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, King of Kentucky is barrel strength.
Yes.
And you have to consider this. Brown-Forman has temperature control warehouses. The age of that is probably closer to averaging like 20-year-old.
Having tasted it, I would agree with that.
You know,
The other thing about it is it's not allocated, it's not distributed to other states. You have to get it in Kentucky.
you have to get it in Kentucky.
So it's kind of like it's not really distillery, but it is a Kentucky-only release. And, maybe someday they'll change that. A lot of these distilleries here in the last few years have had some things that were specifically released here or there, and they've kind of broadened it. I think of, Buffalo Trace doing straight from the barrel, and Gold now is coming to the States where it used to be only overseas. So, my fingers are crossed. But that's one after having tried it at $250. If they let me buy two, I would.
Yeah. So it would be at the top of my list, but I factored in the availability of it.
Well, I mean that's part of your criteria, and it would be my true unicorn that if I had one on my list that I think I have very slim to zero chance of getting, that would be it. But it's one that having tried it, I have to put it on my list. It was that good.
Yeah, it's
great,
delicious,
and that's why it's in the number one hole. I mean, my number one hole after Carter is going to kind of be the same criteria.
What was your number one hole, Carter? Not your two hole, your one hole.
William LaRue Weller.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's. I've never owned a bottle, and I like GTS a lot, but I do have a few bottles of GTS. So when I would put my list together in my head, I was thinking stuff that I kind of don't have, stuff that I really want, and if I get a bottle of GTS, I'm going to be freaking happy as hell. Like I love it, and I love that expression and everything. But I've never owned a William LaRue Weller bottle, and I do think it's some of the best that Buffalo Trace has to offer.
Agreed.
So that's where I am on.
And we've talked about it. There's no argument for me. There's no pushback because I think it's on my list. It's a fantastic fantastic bottle. I wish I could get one every year.
Yeah.
I wish I were into bourbon like Randy Blank and Wade Woodard back in 2000, 2001.
Back when they
where
sat
just
on
bought,
the show.
Yeah, and they'd go in and buy 3 or 6 of each one and just put them away.
That would have been nice. I mean, I'm telling you.
Things we wish we knew.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And how you have the foresight to think that, man, this is the best, some of the best whiskey I've ever had. I'm going to buy a case of it.
hey, just think in the 80s, if you were just sitting there buying a bunch of Wild Turkey product or early 90s.
Yeah. Which
when they
also did.
when they couldn't give it away practically.
Yeah,
So,
$9.99 or less sitting on the shelf, you know?
The Weller 107 stump bottle. It's funny to see Randy Blank has those, and the price tag's still on it for like $29.99. You know, it's like
But that was considered a lot of money
yeah.
back then, you know?
But now that bottle goes for what? $2,000?
Yeah, sure. But that was considered a lot of money.
Sure.
Like, that's a
for
premium,
whiskey.
you know, for
Sure.
whiskey.
Yep. All right. My number one now. Does this really meet this criteria? I don't know. To me, it's just completely unattainable. I don't know how you get it in the first place. I don't know where it comes from. But my number one is Michter's 20.
And you would pay retail for that.
I would pay $750 for that.
Oh,
Is that all it is?
All day long.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought it was like $2,500, $3,500.
No, not for that. Now, like, say, OFC comes out every year.
Right.
That's $2,500.
That's like $2,500 or like
$24.99.
like Double Eagle, very rare, or like you know whatever all that is. Like that, those are all like $2,000 bottles.
Okay, I thought Michter's 20 and 25 were like $2,500 and $5,500.
No, I think retail on the Michter's 20 is $749 or
Yeah.
Well, then
something like that.
Then it just made my honorable mention list.
Yeah. So because I had a pour last year at this time, and to this date, that is the best whiskey that I've ever had.
Has it? Is it really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's freaking good.
And
Yeah.
it's sourced, isn't it?
I don't know about
Isn't
that.
it sourced? They don't make anything, do they?
No, I don't. Well, no, they.
So Michter's doesn't make any of their own
No.
distillate?
Don't
No,
they source everything?
I think that they might be making distillate now, but they don't have 20-year-old.
I was going to say, not
right.
20 years ago.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of thought that, you know, that some of their products, aka their rye, might come from someone really close by on Whiskey Row.
$1,000.
You know,
So it's up to 1,000 now?
MSRP for Michter's 20 this year, $1,000. Actually, that was last year, as of December 27, 2021.
that's cool.
But, you know, that's a 20-year-old whiskey.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's old. That's old whiskey.
Yep.
I'm curious, you know, at that price, I'd want to know kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But it was that good. You had a pour.
It was that good. And not that there was any comparison, but while I was drinking that pour, and it was a special occasion, it was my wife and my anniversary last year. We were in Boston, and I said, what the hell?
Yeah,
$125 for the pour, for a 1.5 ounce pour.
That's better than an ounce, yeah.
To upcharge to a 2 ounce pour was $3 more.
You didn't spend that $3, did you?
Absolutely.
I bet you did.
100.
You bet your ass I spent that $3.
$128 for a Michter's 22 ounce pour. So, but while I was sitting there, I said, okay, I want to compare it to something just to see. So I picked something else that I like. Now, is it really a comparison? No, because it's only 6 to 7 year old whiskey. But,
Right.
But I picked a Booker's.
Yeah.
It made the Booker's taste like shit.
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, there was so much more complexity in it. And I was like, and I had no idea because all of Michter's US 1 series come in the 90 proof, 93 proof, and I'm like, man, what is the proof on this? And I got the bottle, and it's like, no wonder this 114.6.
Oh yeah. It's a higher proof product.
So it was, yeah. So yes, I'm disappointed that it's up to 1,000 now, but I would still, if I came across one.
Oh, I'd buy it.
And I don't even know. I mean, do stores even get it? I don't have any idea.
They have to because bars around here get it. So that tells me they're getting it in and they're just keeping it for wholesale because they don't buy it from the distributor.
Yep.
Yeah.
The restaurants and stores. They get it from
So I knew that,
stores.
before baby was born, wife and I went out to Georgia James, as you know, just to kind of like, hey, things are about to change a lot, and they did. But I did not. I didn't go there. My wife wanted to buy it for me, but I was like, don't do that. They had Celebration there, and it was like $350 a pour. Okay. But we're talking about something that is like, I mean, that's as scarce as it gets. I mean, what do they produce? Less than 2,000 bottles when they have that release. I mean, I just really want to try it. It's on one of my kind of unicorn lists. I really want to try it because I'm a big fan of the Billion Show. Thank you, Rob. And and they just drink it like all the time on there, and it's just
I mean, they got like every office has 2 bottles in it.
Oh,
it's
geez.
like
Jesus Christ. Anyway, I don't know. It's just it's one of those bottles I'd love to. Even if it was like, I think it's like $3,000 when it comes out or something like that. I mean, but in secondary market, I mean, you're going to get 4 times your money.
Oh yeah.
But
okay, well let's jump to honorable mentions. Do you guys have a couple?
I do.
Fire away. What do you got? Well, let's do this first.
Okay.
Let's remind everybody what our 5 in order was. I'll lead the way and go through my 5. Give you guys a second to pull it up.
Okay. I have to remember.
5 was birthday bourbon for me. 4 was GTS, George T. Stagg. Number 3, William LaRue Weller. Number 2, Pappy Van Winkle, 15-year. And the number 1 bottle I'd love to get my hands on is King of Kentucky. Dave?
All right. So in the 5-hole for me was High West, a Midwinter Night's Dram. Then in the 4-hole, Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. 3-hole was a combination if one didn't fit the criteria. That was William Heaven Hill / Four Roses Limited Edition. Coming in at number 2 was William LaRue Weller, and number 1, Michter's 20-year.
Michter's 20.
Okay, mine was Russell's 13, E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof.
Yep.
Birthday Bourbon, Four Roses Small Batch LE, and William LaRue Weller.
William LaRue Weller.
Yep.
All right, honorable mentions. Who wants to fire away?
I mean,
go ahead.
I didn't put it on my list because it isn't released nationally, but King of Kentucky makes my list.
Okay.
I mean, it and honestly, I'll just rattle off a couple of the ones and then maybe we can go to Dave or whatever. But Eagle Rare 17 is also in my honorable mention. And the reason it is number 1, they've raised it to 101 proof. And I've had the 19, I had the 20 and the 21. I've tried both of them. Very, very, very good. Like, I like them a lot. So I was kind of down on that Eagle Rare 17 until they upped the proof, and it's been kind of a hitter. So I'll throw that out there. And another one, which is usually a hit, that's not necessarily, it has some misses, but is usually a hit, any of the Parker's Heritage.
Yeah.
I think those are good ones. I was going to mention those.
Are those? No, those aren't distillery only.
No, they get distributed. Yeah. I mean, you can get them at the distillery, but,
right?
Right.
But yeah, because a couple stores that we shop at,
they get them.
They have them in their loyalty points program.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You have a couple?
Yeah, I mean, King of Kentucky that was on the list. That same thing. It's like I don't know if that really fits the criteria. And then of the BTAC series, George T. Stagg, Eagle Rare 17 I didn't even think about that. I didn't realize they brought it up from 90 proof to 101 again.
That was a couple years ago they did that. Yeah.
So, yeah. But again, any of the BTAC series would – I mean, the only one I've ever owned is a George T. Stagg. So that would be a bonus if I could get any of those. Pappy, it's like, man, if I found one or had the opportunity to buy one, I would buy it. But I don't know, man. There's just been so much hype put on that it's like, I don't really care about having one.
I would say that I agree with you on the BTAC. One I would like to get is the Sazerac 18, just because we've all can get the standard 90 proof Sazerac, and I'm honestly not a huge fan of that at 90 proof. I wish it was, proofed a little higher. I think it could be a little better. But I would love to try an 18-year-old rye. When you think about ryes, you don't think that's a lot of age on a rye.
I've actually tried the Saz 18.
That was the first BTAC that I ever had.
Was it really?
That's an interesting one to start with.
And I'll tell you, it was by pure luck. I went into Memorial Fine Wine and Spirits on Westheimer.
You're kidding.
Because I was after a bottle that they had a 14-year Knob Creek release that I wanted to get. I walk into the store, and I don't know who it was, but he and the two owners were having a bottle share in the middle of the day. And they had some stuff and this was 3 years ago.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
No, it was prior to the pandemic. So So it was 2019 or earlier.
I smell what you're stepping in there.
and I walk in and I mean, so they had an Elijah Craig. I can still remember it. They had an Elijah Craig pick and a Knob Creek pick.
Yeah.
And I wanted the Knob Creek 14-year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So,
those are bangers.
Yeah. Because it was rumored that they were going to completely do away with that program.
Which they did.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, I've got two more honorable mentions.
Okay.
Another one is in the Van Winkle family. I am a fan of ryes, and if I could get my hand on that family rye,
Reserve
the
rye,
Reserve rye,
yeah.
13-year, I think it is. I'd love to get a bottle of that. And one that I'm going to throw out that I've had one offering from and I wasn't happy with, but I've got to drink other offerings from this limited release every year from this distillery. And the other ones I've all enjoyed. Just so happens the one I could get multiple bottles of I didn't like too much. But when something new comes out again, I do. It is on my list of trying to get one, which is Master's Keep from Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
I think they usually have pretty solid offerings that come out.
There's been some misses, but generally speaking,
17-year bottle and bond.
For me, yes.
Me too.
But mostly hits. I mean, I think that the Cornerstone was really
that
great.
rye was delicious.
The Revival I really liked. The sherry finished one.
Diamond was a little disappointing for me. I wasn't really huge on that.
The one I liked it.
Never got a chance to try that.
I liked it. I tried it at the distillery. That's how I.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I think the only one I've ever tried is the Matt.
The 17-year
17-year bottled and bond. I think that's the only one I've ever had.
I wish I liked it.
I wish I did too.
I wish I liked it. I just don't. But yeah, I think that's a solid for sure.
Yeah. So
for sure.
I think that kind of wraps it up for Allocated Bottles, Phyllis.
Yeah, getting everybody excited about coming into the crazy season.
Tis the season.
It is.
And I'll say this, look, these are bottles that we want to have because
you want to have them.
Yeah, want to have
But
them.
we'll drink them and share them.
Yeah. But I'll say this, there's plenty of stuff out there that you can drink that's great.
Upcoming episode.
Yeah, upcoming episode. But
teaser alert.
But yeah, I mean, like these Allocated bottles, I mean, it's tater, but it's fun.
Well, the point is if you can get one, like you just kind of happen into one. If you're in a state where you put your name in a drawing, put your name in a drawing. Your dad's done pretty well in those things.
Yeah, he has.
The distillery offers you to sign up online. Those kind of things, do it. We're not telling you to necessarily go out. You hear a liquor store got 2 bottles and there's 400 people deep trying to, wait in line over. I'm not telling you to do that. I wouldn't do that. We're just saying. These are great allocated bottles, ones that we want, but any allocated bottle, ones we didn't mention because we have them, in our collection, Weller 12, Weller Foolproof, Antique 107, Blanton's. I'll throw it out there. If you can see a bottle of Blanton's, buy it.
At retail? Yeah, absolutely. Jump on it.
Every time.
Elmer T. Lee.
E.H. Taylor single barrel.
Yeah, small batch for that matter. Yep. And, Elijah Craig barrel proof, things like that. Buy them. They're fantastic. So, But this was just our top 5 of bottles, like we said, either we have in our collection and really like and want again. I will throw one more out that just kind of is a newcomer to the limited edition allocated kind of world. Any more offerings from Jack Daniels, from the Coy Heel or whatever else they come up with next is on my list of at least honorable mention that I want another one because it's been really good. The Heritage, I had the 18 of that, and it was fantastic. But they stopped it and went to the rye first. Remember that barrel strength rye, which was fantastic,
badass.
And then they went to now the last 2 releases have been the Coy Hill.
If you really think about that Heritage series, I mean, not to jump all over your statements here, but like you've got the Heritage barrels, and then you had the rye and the Coy Hill. They haven't had a miss.
No, and they only did 2 Heritage, 18 and 19. Yeah. Then they went 1 year on the rye.
Yeah.
Multiple barrels, single barrels, but 1 year on it. And then they've done 2 releases now of the Coy Hill. So I'm going to assume next year or in the few months, maybe something else unique and different and fun is going to. So they're on my list of, if I can get one of those. Yep. Definitely been some great offerings from them.
Yep.
All right, fellas. A lot of fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good times.
All right, thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.
Cheers, daters.